Hello, it's Mr. Mahir here, and today we're going to answer a question that a lot of 20-year-olds ask, and that is, when should I move out of home? Just wanted to give a quick thank you to Paula for asking this question. Now, obviously there are many factors to consider, and they all have their valid reasons. However, I'll answer it from the lens of your finances. And so in this video, I'll give you my 2 recommendations on when you should move out of home. So you want to move out of home? Well, the first thing is that you should smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. With that done, let's look at the pros and cons of moving out of home as soon as you can. There are 3 main pros that I can see when moving out early, and the first and foremost is independence. Once you've moved out, you are the boss and you play it by your rules. You can go out wherever you want, and it's your life. You run it the way that you want. Now, the second pro is that you become an adult way quicker. You'll learn very quickly on how to stop relying on your parents for everything. You'll learn to stand on your own feet and experience the joys and harsh realities of how the world works. You become an adult, effectively. And so that brings me to the last pro, which is relationship-wise, you actually become way more attractive to a potential significant other. Imagine a cook-at-home dinner date with your parents lingering around. Now, what about the cons to moving out so quickly? The biggest con is to do with finances. You don't want to move out and realize you don't have enough money to sustain yourself, and thus you move back in with your parents. You want to be able to save up enough money so that you can more quickly buy your own house and grow your wealth. You want to be able to have enough money so that when you do get married, you minimize the chance of financial troubles, which is actually the second biggest reason for divorce. Now, the average person living on their own with a basic level of expenses comes to around $550 per week, which works out to be around $28,500 a year. This means that if you stay at home, you could save $28,500 every year. Now, this amount will be less if your parents are charging you rent to live at home, obviously, but for the sake of this example, let's say they're nice enough to not charge you rent. Now, to illustrate this further, let's go through an example. So let's say we have person A, who has graduated from university and has moved out at the average age of 23. They're spending around $28,500 a year on living expenses, but then they eventually get married at the average age of 31. Now let's compare that to person B, who has also graduated from university, but has chosen to stay at home and live with their parents up until they get married at the age of 31. Over those 8 years, person A would have spent almost $250,000 more than person B. In other words, person B could potentially save $250,000 more than person A. But what happens if person B not only saved that money, but also invested it, getting a 10-year average US stock market return of 13.6%? Then person B would potentially have a balance of up to $440,000 before they got married. And then imagine if person B also married someone who did the same thing, making their combined wealth reach up to $880,000. Not bad for only being 31 years old. Now obviously this is quite generalized, but you get the point. So based on a financial perspective, my personal recommendation is to stay at home until you get married. That's what me and my wife did. We were very frugal savers, such that we got married at the age of 25, we were able to buy a house, pay for a wedding, buy a new car, and go on a honeymoon to Europe. Flex! But I admit that there was a lot of things that went our way and allowed us to achieve this. For example, our parents didn't charge us rent, and they were very flexible with us on how we ran our lives. And so I recognize that everyone is different. And so with that in mind, my next recommendation would be to only move out of home once you have calculated that all of your living expenses comes to no more than 80% of your income. So for example, if you're a recent graduate making the average income of $60,000 a year, then after you calculate every living expense, it should not go over $48,000 per year, which is 80%. The reason is because financial experts recommend that you save 10% of your income. That leaves the remaining 10% to act as a buffer for any other expenses that you forgot to factor in when you actually make the move to move out. Now, if you did consider everything in your calculations, then that extra 10% is an added bonus for you. If you're thinking of moving out and you want to make sure that you've considered all financial expenses, you can actually go to the Money Smart government website, which goes through all the categories you should consider. I'll put that link in the description. But there you go, guys. Those are my 2 recommendations on when you should move out of home. If you want me to make a video going through all the financial considerations when moving out, let me know. And so if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And with that, I'll catch you in the next video.